Rauno Aaltonen is one of the true legends of rally sport, one of the original Flying Finns, the winner of the Monte Carlo Rally, the Acropolis, the RAC, and virtually all of the classic events.
The popularity of rally sport is very great and it's increasing very rapidly in Europe and in many places all over the world. I believe that this is because the spectators think that the car which looks rather normal could be their car. And a man sitting in that normal-looking car could be the spectator himself. And if a basic car can be improved to go so much faster, it means a basic car must be already pretty good.
The world's foremost authority on high-performance driving techniques, Rauno Aaltonen is the RallyMaster. Helsinki, Finland. Results lists from major events are always filled with Finnish names, like Markku, Hannu, Timo, Simo, Ari, and Pentti. Of those drivers generally acknowledged to be in the world's top 10, 6 are Finns. Rauno Aaltonen.
It is not exactly known why the Finnish drivers are, relatively speaking, faster than the rest of the world. One possibility may be that in Finland there has been in the past a great freedom in traffic, which means that you could use practically the whole road, you could drive at any speed you wanted, and it was accepted as one of the virtues that a man would only be a man if he can drive a car really fast. In Finland, in 1,000 Lakes Rally, we might have 500,000 spectators in a country which has only 5 million people. RAC Rally might have 2 million spectators physically in the forests. And as a result of this, the television in many countries is waking up and they are having live programs on rallying. Manufacturers see works rallying as important means for publicity. Because if a car will do well in rallying, despite being improved and not being exactly its normal car, it's a certain sign that that manufacturer is able to improve the breed, make a better car.
The appeal of rallying can be analyzed and explained on many levels, but the simplest is probably the best.
It's one of the last sports and possibilities in the world to do something foolish, which somewhere else would be totally illegal.
Before the driver and co-driver can hope to win a rally, a tremendous amount of preparation must go into the car itself. The factory teams strip and rebuild their cars between every event. This is a brand new rally car, the state-of-the-art from Opima, Japan. If you were able to buy one of the 24 factory-prepared Rally Datsuns built every year, you'd be paying approximately $50,000. But you'd be buying a potential championship winner. Rally car preparations fall into 4 general categories: strengthening, safety, power, and traction. To reinforce the basic body shell, it is seam welded. A roll cage goes into the car to protect the driver and co-driver, but also to add rigidity to the chassis. A modern rally engine is virtually a racing motor, detuned only slightly for greater reliability. This 2-liter, 4-cylinder, 16-valve power plant generates approximately 230 horsepower at 8,000 RPM. To protect the engine, exhaust system, and differential from rock damage, skid plates are installed under the car. The suspension is upgraded with stiffer coil springs and gas shock absorbers. Though very rough riding and uncomfortable on the street, on a rutted trail at 120 kilometers per hour, it's perfect. Traction is improved as much as the rules will allow by moving weight as far to the rear as possible. In this car, the dry sump oil tank, battery, and spare tire are all located in the trunk. Rally tires in various tread patterns and rubber compounds are chosen to match the terrain. Because a powerful car in a dirt road has its wheels spinning almost all the time, tire wear is far worse in rallying than it is in circuit racing. Seating is critical for car control and safety. Here, Canadian champion Randy Black tries on his new 200SX.
What I do is sit in the seat, putting my shoulders firmly against the backrest. Then reach out with my arm so that my hand goes to the top of the steering wheel without having to stretch. My leg is always bent so that my legs remain relaxed and I can drive for long periods of time without becoming stiff. You must pull the lap belt securely, and you must have it very, very firm so that your pelvis is forced into the back of the seat so you don't have any body movement within the seat. Then you can tighten down the shoulder straps in order to secure your shoulders to the back of the seat.
The very first special stage in the rally is always an interesting but also a difficult moment, because how many hundreds of rallies we have done before. If you are really trying to be competitive, you ought to have a little bit of nervousness there. If you feel totally calm, you cannot put up a good performance. The co-driver who knows you well should notice if you are in the right state of mind, and he might upset you by telling a joke about you or pointing out something which you think he shouldn't tell you, to just make you to have enough adrenaline.
On the start line for the first special stage of the International Lobster Rally in Shadiac, New Brunswick.
There will be a very short discussion between the co-driver and driver. The driver often asks the co-driver, have you zeroed the trip meters? Then the co-driver will check the starter's watch. It's no good to believe that it's coming to a minute if you start on full minute. You should always check and compare your own watches to the starter's watch to see if there is a minute error or if the starter is going to send you incorrectly. We tend to make a so-called controlled spin start. You should have the minimum number of revs but still get some wheel spin. This gives you fastest getaway, and once the car is moving, then you give full throttle. When the starter has said 4, 3, 2, 1, before he says go, you already let the clutch come, because then when he says go, the car starts moving. But you have to be very careful that you don't start too early, because it might cost you a penalty.
Right from the start, John Buffum in the Audi Quattro jumped into the lead, clipping 4 seconds off Clive Smith's Datsun on the first stage. Aaltonen and Randy Black, sharing the driving seat, were 5th with Black at the wheel. Driving skill at this level is so far removed from everyday motoring. It's like comparing mountain climbing to riding an escalator. Even the way a rally driver brakes is special, firm, decisive, and very fast. Approaching a slow corner, Aaltonen stabs the brake hard with his right foot and downshifts, using a technique known as heel and toe. With his foot firmly on the brake, he moves the gear lever into neutral, blips the throttle, dips the clutch again, and engages the lower gear. Because he pioneered the technique, it is commonly assumed that Aaltonen and all the Flying Finns always use their left foot on the brake pedal.
This myth that Finnish rally drivers always use left foot braking is not true. In certain cars, we certainly use left foot braking, like in a front-wheel driven Mini, for instance. But this rear-wheel driven Datsun, I use my right foot braking. If there is any doubt, use right foot braking, because the disadvantages with left foot braking are you tend to lock up the wheels too early, and you very often ruin your gearbox because you are not able to use your clutch on the proper way. The correct entry speed to a corner is the most critical point in rallying. In racing, it's the exit speed, because rallying has so many more corners than racing, and you don't know them so well. 9 corners out of 10 are faster than they appear to be. If you happen to be in that 10th case, that you are really too fast for the corner, you simply set the car more sideways, you scrub off speed, you are slightly slower coming out of the corner, but this means that only in 1 of 10 corners you've been slower. In 9 corners you've been gaining time. The ideal line is not something which is always the same. It depends on the speed, on the surface, on your tires, on the car, the weight of the car, the loading of the car. But in rallying, the tendency to go very late into a corner should be avoided. Try to be somewhere between, too deep into the corner, then make a sharp corner, and between the racing line, which is a very early entry into the corner. Try to go between these two extremes, and probably you find a good way of driving. One of the worst things a rally driver can face is an understeering motor car. It means the car is going straight ahead instead of following the road. This is basically the case in very slow corners. And to avoid this problem, we use a big pendulum technique. Instead of following the road, which goes to the right, we first turn to the left and then quickly right to create a pendulum movement of the tail. And this sets up the car sideways. Use of a pendulum could be either just a swerve of the steering wheel to the left and then to the right, or it could be braking combined with this pendulum technique, depending on the situation and how fast you are going, and especially are you going uphill or downhill. Going downhill, you necessarily need a brake as well. I select part of road which is firmer, which gives you maximum traction to slow you down as well as possible. Full speed, 5th gear. Brake hard, drop down, 4, 3, 2. Double declutching. Now I use the pendulum technique. Right, left, into the corner, accelerate out of it. This pendulum technique, it looks fantastic, it looks very impressive, and many people think that pendulum is the thing to do. But it's most important to remember, you only use pendulum when you have to. It means only when you think your car will understeer, you'll set it up sideways with pendulum. Avoid the pendulum if you can.
As we watch the RallyMaster demonstrate, notice the white tape he always has as a reference at the top of his steering wheel. Aaltonen brakes and drops down 3 gears. Then with a small flick of the steering wheel to the right, he begins a pendulum. The car goes into a slide to the right, which he instantly counters with the steering wheel, allowing the tail of the car to swing now to the left. The pendulum effect on the tail increasing with each swing. He finally commits the car to the corner, accelerating past the apex, hard on the throttle, countersteering as the car regains balance. Feeding in full throttle and shifting up through the gears, he rockets up the straightaway. This pendulum principle is a fundamental technique of car control. Even though the driver doesn't exactly know which way the road turns, by keeping the car sliding and unbalanced, he or she can change directions almost instantaneously. American John Buffum continues to extend his lead in the Lobster Rally. The #1 Datsun with Rauno Aaltonen at the wheel has moved out of the pack into 2nd place, and the chase is on.
The role of a co-driver in a rally car is very important. The driver wins the rally, but if the truth be known, the co-driver can also lose it. Therefore, it is essential that he doesn't make any errors. The driver has to be informed adequately in advance so that he can anticipate what he's going to do at these junctions. They have to be described succinctly, quickly, and the co-driver will then count down in meters, generally in hundreds of meters, what is going to happen next.
300 square right, in 200 square right, in 150, in 100 square right.
He should act as his office manager, doing all the paperwork and doing it properly. He also is the driver's psychiatrist, trying to make the driver faster or slower when it will be appropriate. He also is very close to the driver's best girlfriend, trying to nearly keep him happy in the best possible way. And he acts as a nurse when the driver is not feeling well.
There you go.
Driving technique itself, when, how and how much to turn the steering wheel or when to just press a brake or throttle pedal, is relatively simple. The handling of the motor car is purely reflexes which you don't think about. You should be sitting in a proper way. What your hands and your feet are doing to control the motor car is something you don't think about. It's only when the emotional side is just right, when the driver is going slightly faster than he thinks he's safe, he's doing really well. Rally driving is a busy job. Every 2 or 3 seconds you change the gear. It involves double declutching or just simply declutching, toe and heel, brake and press the throttle pedal. You are countersteering. While you are trying to see the road, try to take in optical information, seeing where the road is going, and now and then you are hitting a big stone or big rock, and listening to the co-driver who might be very unclear what he's saying. And all this while the car is bouncing up and down and you're trying to brace yourself well against the seat back. The faster the corner is, the less you should set up the car sideways, set up in a drift. It's very important to understand that a wheel which doesn't have a slip angle doesn't create any side force at all. And therefore, both axles must have a certain slip angle. Just use a gentle braking just before entering it, and this braking will create, as we call it, a dynamic weight transfer on the front axle. It means more wheel loading on front wheels, and more wheel load means better traction and better steering. Rear wheels will therefore lose their traction and slide out, and the car therefore assumes an ideal drift position, drift angle. At this moment I go on power. The main point is that I must not go into a full power slide, which looks very impressive, but it's not the fastest way. So reduce your drift slightly, but use, if possible, all four wheels to support the weight of the car against the centrifugal force. This is the fastest way, although it doesn't look to be the most impressive or even fastest way.
Here's a perfect four-wheel drift by Timo Salonen on the Thousand Lakes Rally. The power is on, the rear wheels are spinning, and the car has an aggressive drift angle. But still, Timo keeps the front wheels pointed slightly to the inside, exploiting every ounce of cornering force from all four tires. It's a subtle difference, but here at the same corner is Pentti Arikala. The car is a Mitsubishi Lancer Turbo, and it looks even more spectacular than Salonen in the Datsun. A huge slide with full power and full opposite lock. The Finnish crowds love it, but the first car was faster.
Most people, when they drive cars, look at a certain point, we could call it a reference point, which is far too close. When you look far away, you can see things coming much earlier, which gives you much more time to be prepared to react to the car's movements. First of all, it's easier to keep your car stable. The further away your reference point is, the smaller change in the angle of the car you will notice.
Between special stages at pre-arranged points on the route, the drivers rendezvous with their service crews. Here, Timo Salonen roars in for a quick stop. There's not a moment to waste. Team manager Andy Dawson plans to replace the car's turbocharger, change all four tires, refuel, install new spark plugs, and a completely new rear axle. They have 15 minutes. Cold water is poured on the turbocharger to cool it down, while other mechanics run for tires and dive under the car to work on the axle. Nowhere is the international nature of this sport more evident than at a service hall. When a multinational corporation like Nissan goes rallying, winning is so important that personnel are hired from all over the world. On this team, the manager is British, the driver's Finnish, and the mechanics are Japanese or English. Despite language differences, they all have in common an intense will to win and the certain knowledge that at their specialty, they are the best in the world. Being posted to the factory rally team as an engine specialist, electrician, tire expert, or general repairman is the highest compliment possible to a mechanic. There is nothing actually wrong with the car at this stage of the rally. All of this work is strictly preventative maintenance. The rear axle may cause problems later, so let's change it now.
In rally sport, we use handbrake turns in very tight corners, like hairpins. We turn the car, pull the handbrake, and the car spins, and this spinning makes the car to point the correct way very quickly. Before a left-hand hairpin, I might go right, left, declutch, pull the handbrake, countersteer, then accelerate and get away very quickly.
To start the pendulum movement of the car's tail, the RallyMaster flicks the wheel to the right, creating an easily controlled slide in that direction. Waiting until the pendulum swings left, he countersteers, dips the clutch, and sharply applies the handbrake, locking the rear wheels momentarily, causing them to slide out. Handbrake off, clutch out, and the rear end slide is maintained under power. At the correct moment, Aaltonen countersteers to balance the car, while smoothly accelerating out of the hairpin.
If you have confidence in your car control, then you can go much faster. The confidence basically means that you can stop the car quickly and you can change the drift angle very quickly, either increase it or straighten it up again. These are the vital points. And after you have then you just try to drive as smooth as possible, but fast. This car control you do not learn just by rallying. You must go, train yourself, make tests, and try different techniques. Contrary to what people think, that you should land on all four wheels, that is not the best technique. The best technique is to land either on the front axle or just on one front wheel. Have you ever seen a cat after a jump to land on all four legs? The car should land like a cat. One front wheel, even a hard spring feels soft. When the whole weight of the car comes down on one wheel, then the second front wheel comes on, and after that the rear axle will touch the ground, and this will stop the car to bounce once more. When you go over a crest and you don't know which way it's going, never go straight. Go over the crest, preferably without getting airborne, but in a slight drift angle. Don't jump high. Jump low and long and have a soft landing. To do this, you may have to touch the brake very slightly, just before getting airborne. Lean slightly forward, because this will make your spine to flex on landing, and you don't get that blackout moment when you don't see anything, and at least it avoids you getting headaches from this hard landing.
By nightfall, the Lobster Rally had fallen into the pattern that would hold to the finish. John Buffum in the Quattro, leading comfortably from Aaltonen and Black in their Datsun 510. Taisto Heinenen's Toyota was 40 seconds further back in third.
On the surface, it would appear that rallying is an individual achievement sport. The spectators, the public, only see the driver and the co-driver. And of course, the driver is the high-profile person of that duo. But really, rallying is a team sport. It's as much a team sport as hockey or football or baseball. Anybody who looks at rallying suggesting that it's an individual achievement sport needs to look a little deeper into the situation to understand that it really is a team sport. And without all the individuals on a rally team doing their job and doing it well, there are no victories.
Night driving is more difficult because you can never see as much as you see in daylight, and therefore you have to be more alert and concentrate harder, and also work harder to analyze the picture you are getting, because the shadows, the shades you get from the lights are different than the road would look in daylight. When you set up the lights, you should change the picture you get of the road as little as possible as compared to daylight driving, and therefore you must point your lights very far left, right, down and up, because we don't like to have a tunnel vision. You have normally more humidity, the road is slightly damp, and therefore in certain conditions you have more traction. Therefore you have to have different tires, different tire compounds, because you have different temperatures. A winning driver should act while he drives, just as a machine, a calculator, a computer. He's sitting physically in the car, but he should work as his mind. The decision-making unit would be in the form of a little bird flying above the car, absorbing the road and observing the movements of the car.
In a sport as physically and mentally grueling as rallying, it's a great accomplishment even to finish. Typically, more than half of the starters are eliminated by crashes caused by lapses in concentration or by mechanical failures. For the vast majority, they're trying to finish well up in the standings. Maybe to impress a sponsor, maybe to get a tryout with one of the big factory teams. A factory ride in this ludicrously expensive sport is the ultimate prize, the proof that you are one of the handful good enough to earn a living as a professional rally driver. For these few who have made it, there can be no relaxing. At the pinnacle, the competition is even more intense than it was on the way up. With young stars challenging all the time, you have to win and keep winning to stay on top. For the up-and-comers, victory is a fantastic fantasy. For the RallyMaster, it is something else again.
To win is not why we start. We start in a rally to have hard competition, trying to beat yourself, your own ego, and trying to beat your competitors. But for me, you feel that you are facing an anticlimax, because the life just can't get better. It was good and fantastic while you were trying hard, and there was something to fight for. After the win, it's over.
RallyMaster with Rauno Aaltonen has been presented by Burma Castrol Canada Limited and by Nissan Datsun. A Betts Partington production.